So today we will cover the other 7th chords that are popular that we have not covered. We'll talk about phrasing, which is sentences, basically, but in music. Cadences are like punctuations in music. Sometimes we stop or we finish a phrase or a section. And then we will hopefully get to harmonization of a melody. But before we start, we have to review a little bit, making sure that you have that fresh in your memory, what intervals are, and what are the options for your major and harmonic minor scales. So let's review intervals. Minor second. So first of all, minor second it's a second. So it has to be, let's say, B and C, right? Next to each other letter, that's a second. C and D would work, A and B would work, right? Okay, so let's say it's C and D. This is my second that I chose today as an example. This between C and D, do we have 1/2 step or 2/2 steps?
2/2 step.
Therefore, if we want only 1/2 steps, we need to do something about the second note. We need to
Oh, yeah, you might make it C sharp or D minor or C sharp.
No,
right?
sharp means to get it more to the right. You're getting further away from the C. You want it to be closer to the C. Here's C, here's D. There's two half steps between them. So you need to put the D down here, right? So you flatten it down.
Right, you flatten. Yeah, D flat, yeah.
Right? Here's C, here's D. Way up here, you have 2 half steps. So you want to flatten it down, the D flatten down, so that there's only 1/2 steps. So between C and D flat is called a minor second.
Okay, minor second.
Because there are only 1/2 steps. If you look at your keys, you will see it right away. Then, therefore, between C and D itself is 2/2 steps.
2/2 steps, yeah.
So between C and D, it's called a major second. Can you guess what I should insert here as answer for minor third? How many half steps?
With 3.
3. Major third, 4. Okay, so let's take an example again between C and what is a third? C, what letter should I write? C, D, E. C and E. C, D, E. Between C and E is a third. C, D, E. That's how we count. Okay. Now, but in order for it to be called a minor third, I only want 3 half steps. So look on your guitar or keyboard.
E flat.
Exactly. E needs to be flat.
Flat.
Because between C and E is actually 4 half steps. Okay. So there's C and E flat. And C and E. They're different, right? They feel different. That's right. And that's basically determining your chord major or minor. Basically, it's a very important interval, minor third, major third. And then perfect fourth. So let me remind you again of the sequence of where half steps and steps are, right? A, B, C, D, E, F, G. But we know that between B and C is only 1/2 steps. And between the other letters, it's 2. So I'm gonna leave some space. But between E and F, it's another one of those places where you only have 1/2 steps, right? Right. So, and etc. I can keep drawing this forever. but always between B and C, it's only one, and E and F, right? I'm just repeating basically. So this sequence you need to really, really remember so that you can give me the right letters here. So what is a perfect fourth? Is it 5 half steps? Yes, it is.
Yeah.
But a perfect fifth is not 6 half step. There's a jump. Perfect fifth is 7 half steps. Okay. And perfect seven, minor 7 is 10 half steps. And major 7 is 11 half steps. Now, the reason why we're kind of reviewing this is because we're going to have to talk about minor and major 7th a lot. So I'd like you for the moment just to memorize for me a minor 7 is 10 half steps. So therefore a major 7 is 11. It's a little bit bigger. Memorize that. And then minor third is 3 half steps. So trying to memorize minor third, which is 3 half steps. Minor 7 is 10 half steps. Okay. If you continue playing off C, you will remember the sequence if you're playing piano. So let's say I want to remember what a perfect fourth. Well, it's C, G. So I basically went up the scale, right? C, D flat is a minor second. C, D is major. C, E is also major third. C, F is perfect fourth. C, G is perfect fifth. C, A will be major sixth. And C, B will be major seventh. You can also memorize it that way. So here is the demonstration. Oh, let me set up the webcam for a second. C scale is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. All white keys on the keyboard. So those intervals, whenever they fit your scale, they are either major or perfect. So C, D is major second. C, E is major third. C, F is perfect fourth. C, G, perfect fifth. C, A, major sixth. C, B, major seventh. C, C, perfect octave. Remember we had this covered before, where you know the octave, fifth, and fourth were perfect. And the others, 2, 3, 6, 7, or major. I've drawn this out for you. So does it work if I say play your G major scale? So G major scale has G, A, B, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, right? So if I sing do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, starting on G. Do, re is always major second. Do, mi is always major third. Do, fa is always perfect fourth. Do, sol, always perfect fifth. Do, la, always major sixth. Do, ti is not here because my scale has F sharp, right? G scale has F sharp, so I can't play that white key. So do, ti is G, F sharp. Do, ti is major 7. Do, G to G, perfect octave. The interval stays the same as long as I'm playing scales and respecting whatever's sharp or flat in there. So that was G major scale with the F not being here, but over here. So I'm just playing the notes of my scales. How about if I was doing F scale, the one with one flat? Here's F scale, F, G, A, B is flat, this black key, and then C, D, E, F. In F scales, there's only one flat. Everything else is white key, except for the B. We have to play B flat. That's F scale. So that's belong to my scale, right? Do, re, major second, do, mi, because this belongs in my scale, right? So major third, do, fa is not here because B is flat, fa is here. So do, re, mi, fa is perfect fourth. Where's sol? Do, re, mi, fa, sol. Here it is. Do, sol is perfect fifth. And I'm singing the same solfege because we're dealing with movable do. Do, la. Because aside from this one being black, everything else is white. So do, la is major 6. Do, ti is major 7. And do, F to F is perfect octave. It works for all the scales. If you know where to hit your scales on the keyboard, then you can hit all of those major or perfect interval. So I would recommend that you really practice your C a lot, so you'll remember. Just do it this every day. Major second, do, mi, major third, do, fa, perfect fourth, do, sol, perfect fifth, do, la, major sixth, do, ti, major 7, do, perfect 8th. Just practice that, and you're also reinforcing your solfege. Do, re, do, mi, do, fa, do, sol, do, la, do, ti, do. So now that you can either use that method, or in order to understand the next part of the theory, just memorize for me for now. Minor third is 3 half steps, right? And then memorize that. Minor seventh is 10 half steps. That's what you need for the next section. Minor third is 3 half steps. Minor 7 is 10 half steps. So let's move on. What kind of major did we learn? We learned a chord, let's say named X. Let's say our chord is named X. We've already learned the first two sevenths. If there's a name of the chord and there's a 7 next to it, it means that your chord is major. And you just added a note on top, which previously I said to you, count only 3 half steps. But if you count from that note all the way down to the name of the chord, you will find that it's a minor 7th, so 9 half steps. So what does that mean on the keyboard? So let me switch the camera again for you to see it. We're gonna do that chord, which is called dominant 7th chord. It has a pull towards a chord that is 5 notes lower. So let's take, for example, G. G major chord. Okay? Then I want 10 half steps in order to have a minor 7 to it, right? So here it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That note here that I added is 10 half steps away. In other words, it's also 1, 2, 3 half steps from the top note, isn't it? So I've been telling you to find it according to counting from the top note. But since from here to the top note, it's always 7 half steps, perfect fifth. Perfect fifth is 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? So the bottom to the fifth note of your chord is always 7 half steps, or in other words, a perfect fifth. Twinkle, twinkle. We use it a lot in a lot of songs all over the world. This perfect fifth. Then counting from this top, 3 more half steps is the same as counting from the bottom all the way to 10 half steps. So either way, you're saying that your seventh is a minor 7. Because G to F is a minor 7. Total 10 half steps. So this chord, where you have a major chord and the note on top, which is a minor 7 compared to the bottom, is called dominant sevenths. It's a kind of note. We often hear this chord resolving to chord 1, a chord that is 5 notes this way from G. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, C chord. We often hear this resolving to C chord. And I'm playing like this so you could see the keys better than if I play with normal fingers, right? So the G7 often resolves to C chord, which is here. This is C chord inversion. Okay, what if I invert this? I put this G up here. It's still G7? Yes, it is. A chord with 4 notes can always be inverted, just like the chords with 3 notes that we covered before, right? So my G7, which is G, B, D, F, I can put the G up here, and I got B, D, F, G. This is still G7, or chord, major chord G with a 7. Now, does it resolve? Yes, it does. To C major. Can you hear the colors are the same? Right. And this is why most adult songs, books, the ones who are taking piano keyboard class with me, we often play this chord without this note. We play just that way. See? In one hand. We often do that. The G7 this way, going to C this way. So that G7 is basically this one inversion. So again, if I invert that G down back, here it is. There's my original G, B, D, G7. And that is only one particular chord. A major chord with a note on top, that is a minor third. This being a minor third. If we count, again, it's 10 half steps. Now, what about the other? What if my chord was a minor chord? So the chord is X. Well, we'll keep it to be G for now, because we just saw the variable X being, right? So now you just saw the demonstration for G7. Now we're going to see the demonstration for GM7. When you see a symbol that has a chord M7, it means you are dealing with, first of all, a minor chord. So, and then you do the same minor 7th on top, right? So let's do that one on the keys. So instead of G7 and then the top, I need to play G minor. That's G minor. So the only difference between the major and the minor is that. But the 5th note is still there, correct? So the distance between the perfect 5th is still the perfect 5th. We only change that note in the middle, correct? So from the major to the minor, the root's still there, the name of the chord. The 5th note is still there. So the distance between the root and the 5th is still the same. So if we count 3 more, or if we count from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, it's still the same 7th, right? This would be GM7. When you see a symbol for GM7, you know you need first to find a minor chord and then a 7th on top, which is depending on how you want to count, 3 half steps from your 5th note or 10 half steps from your bottom note, the name of your chord. This is G minor 7th. So we've seen that before. So this should be reviewed for you guys. We have seen G7 before in a previous class and G minor 7, or maybe I took another example. It's not G, but it's kind of the same counting. So minor chord plus minor 7. Now today we're covering G major 7. So you're going to see G with a big M and then a 7. In some books, you might see actually the first 3 letters of major. So G, M, A, J, 7. So there are some books that are kind of like, they write that instead of only just a big M. So what is it exactly? Do you see how similar or not similar it is to this one? So when you see a capital letter already, you know your chord is major. You see the letter itself being capitalized, you're dealing with a major chord, especially when there's no small m next to it. This M here is an M to tell you about the 7th itself. It's not an M that accompanies the name of your chord. So it's a chord, and then you have a major 7th. And this is why they write it this way. The 7th itself is major. So it's not 10 half steps, it's 11 half steps. It's almost an octave, isn't it? Because 12 half step is your octave. So if I go G to G and I count the number of half steps for this perfect octave, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So the major 7th is just 1 less. This is a major 7, which is very dissonant, but usually we have a pull. So you feel the pull towards resolution up towards the octave. So a major 7 would be that, right? And in order to make a G major 7, first the G has to be major, GBD, and then my note on top is a major 7th, which is very jazzy. We often use a major 7 chord for chord 1. If you want your song to sound a little bit jazzy, add at the end of the song a major 7 chord instead of just chord. Simple G, you add the ooh. You know, it adds this element of being suspended. So again, when you're seeing the big M there next to the 7, the M accompanies the 7th. It doesn't accompany the letter or the name of your chord. And finally, the 0, 7. I should move the 7 a bit higher. Usually it's right next to each other. What is this chord? This chord is a sort of sneaky little chord that can glide into any, like a whole bunch of other chords right after it. We use it a lot to create tension, but also to bring you to a different color scheme, a different section of the song. This is very useful chords to use if you're composing. What is it composed of? A diminished chord. Oh, who remembers what a diminished chord is? This is G major. G minor is moving the middle note down to B flat. G minor is G, B flat, D. What is diminished then? Anybody remember? G major, G, B, D, G minor, G, B flat, D. How can I make this even smaller? The top note goes down by half step. G, B flat, D flat is called a diminished chord, diminished triad. You hear how it's kind of unstable a little? Okay. Right? Major can become augmented too. If instead of D, I play D sharp. I love this chord. Augmented chord. G augmented. G major, start from major and augment the top note, the fifth note. That's G augmented. G, B, D sharp. G, B, D is major. G, B flat, D is minor. And then if we squeeze in further down, the top note is G, B flat, D flat is diminished chord. You could do that for all chords. Can we do it for F? Yes, we can. Here's F chord, F, A, C. What is F augmented? We augment the top note, right? F, A, C sharp is F augmented. Okay, let's go back to F again. F, A, C. What's F minor? F, A flat, C is minor. La, do, mi is F minor. Now, how do we make the minor chord become diminished? F, A flat, C flat. I do not call this note B. I know it looks like a B. It is in some ways, but in the context of your chord, all your notes need to be skips of letters, right? So if this is called A, this is called A flat. A, skip B, C. This is called C flat. That will be your diminished chord. Okay, so what is diminished 7 then? Diminished 7 would be adding another note on top. Now, before we continue, let me remind you and let's count how many half steps are there between these notes in this diminished chord. 1, 2, 3, correct? And from this note to the next note, 1, 2, 3. It's 3 and 3. Does that work for G diminished? 1, 2, 3 to the next note. And from that next note to 1, 2, 3, 3 and 3. So can you guess what the diminished 7th is? We add another note on top, which is also 3 half steps. They're all composed of 3 half steps, a minor third. They're all composed of a minor third. This is why I asked you to memorize a minor third is 3 half steps. Because this. So what's 3 half step? 2, 3. Now I can play it. Can I name it? G, skip a letter A. B flat, skip a letter C. This is D flat, skip a letter. This key should be called F because D, E flat, skip a letter E. The next letter is F. This is F flat. Yeah. You can find it, you can play it. Can you name it? This is a theory class. You should be able to name it. So again, all letters in a chord should be skips, right? We all thirds apart. The notes are skipped. So if this is G, then this note has to be called B something. So it's B flat. If this is B, then this note here needs to be called D. Right? So this is D flat. If this is D, then this note needs to be called F because we skipped over. So it's F flat. That's how you write G fully diminished 7th chord. Because why is this chord so important and I love it? It could go. It could go. It works. It goes to almost any other chord, right? That works, right? That works too. So I'm playing this chord, and I can almost be playing any other chords after it, right? You see, I'm going to so many different chords. It's like a chameleon chord. You slide it in, and then you can move to a different region.
Mhm.
The whole section, the next whole section, can do it. So it's a very important chord to understand what it's made up of. That's the fully diminished. It's only made up of minor thirds, or there's only 3 half steps between all of their notes. So when you harmonize, you might want to have to consider that chord as well. So we are moving on now that you know, technically speaking, what these chords are. A diminished 7th chord, a major 7th chord, a minor chord with a 7th, and a major chord with a 7th, also called dominant 7th. There are more, but I'm only covering those 4 for now. Oh. Okay, and then review of your circle of fifths. You should know that, to know your keys. You should review this slide also. If you are in a song in major, you can use, these chords: major, 1, 4, 5, 2, 3, 6 major, minor in a major key, etc. Because now we're going to go into choosing chords for your song. So if your song, in most song in Vietnam, are you only using the harmonic minor? So it's rather simple. You choose chord 1 and 4, which are all minor, or you choose chord 5 and 6, which are all major. Okay, and I hope by now you've memorized this very well. If you're in a major song, then you can write chord 1, 4, 5 in major, 2, 3, 6 in minor. That was covered last time, so I wanted to make sure you know that page is important. So now we need to learn about how we end section. There are only 4 ways according to classical music. Now in pop music nowadays, you have quite a number of exceptions, but there are only 4 ways in most music of the world to end a section. A section is made up of several phrases. We'll get there. So when you end conclusively, you say, that's the end of the chapter, or that's the end of the book, basically. Okay, like a real ending. You have 2 kinds: 5-1 or 4-1. That's it. Look at the Roman numerals: 5-1 or 4-1. Now, if you were in a major key, the 5 is a major chord, and the 1 is a major chord. If you are in C major, the 5 is G, the 1 is C. This is C chord, this is G chord. And these are good positions to put your hand in if you're playing piano, but we're doing theory. So chord 1 in C is C, E, G, right? You got those notes here. Here's an E, here's a G, here's a C. And chord G is G, B, D. Here's a G, here's a B, Here's a D. You see how this is an inversion, basically? Okay. Now what if you were in C minor? C minor has 3 flats at the key signature, right? But C minor, remember those chords things that we just talked about? Your chord 5 in C minor harmonic is still a major chord. Remember that? Harmonic minor, your chord 5 is still a major chord. So 5-1 would be a major chord going to a minor chord, right? Because 5 is always major, 1 is always minor in the harmonic minors song. So here it is. Chord 5 is major. This G is a major G. And the reason why there's a natural sign here is to cancel, because if not, the B would be flat. So C minor harmonic is C, D, E needs to be flat because it's one of these flat. Here it is, the second flat. F, I'm writing out the C minor harmonic scale. G and A needs to be flat too, because if you look at your flats, you will find that A needs to be flat. Here it is, the last flat. And then if it was a natural scale, it would be B flat. But it's not, it's harmonics scales, minor. So the 7th note, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the 7th note is raised. So I've written out the scale of C harmonic minor, C, D, E flat, F, G, A flat, B, C. Remember harmonic minor sum, a little bit Arabian on top. Okay, so B has to be natural inside the song. That's why you have that natural sign here to cancel out the B flat that it would have if it was a natural minor. Okay, so it makes your chord 5 still a major chord. That's chord C, G minor. But then the chord 1 is a minor chord because it's made up of what? C, E flat, G, right? So chord 1 is minor. So this chord should be labeled C with a little M. And that's one way to end a song if you were in C minor. Not a song, but a section, a cadence. It's going from chord 5 to 1. And then in a similar manner, you can say the same thing for this other one, but I'm not going to go into the details of all the scales. It's the same scale. So chord 4 is F in C major, chord 1 is C. Whereas here is F minor to C minor, because chord 4 and chord 1 are both minor in a C minor. If you don't remember, let me back up again to the same previous slide. You look at the pink box for me, harmonic minor. Chord 4 is minor, and chord 1 is also minor, right? So when you do that cadence to finish a section, your chord 4 and chord 1 needs to be minor. So F minor to C minor, right here. So that you hear it, let me improvise something in C minor. Okay, so we're in C minor. And then when I wanna finish, that's G7, chord 5, to chord 1. I just finished that section with a cadence called 5-1. These terms, plagal, perfect, blah, 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 that's classical theory. Just remember cadence to finish a big section is 5-1 or 4-1. Okay, let me improvise something and then finish it with 4-1 instead in minor here. That would be a 4-1, F minor. So it's just a different feel, right? The 4-1 in, we often say it's the Amen cadence. In major is Amen. If you were in a major key. So let's move on to the other two. I said there were 4 cadences. You got first those 5-1 and 4-1 really makes you feel like you could just end there, end the song there, right? Whereas the next two types of cadence called half or deceptive makes you feel like, no, the song can't end, the story cannot end here. That's all it is. Just remember, there are 2 cadences that really can end the story, and there are 2 cadences that, oh, you want to know the next part. So they're called half or deceptive. What is half is any chord, not just one. The example here is 1, but any chord, and then you end on 5, chord 5. If you end on chord 5, you feel like you can't finish. So let me give you an example of C minor ending on chord 5, G major. Since I've given you examples in minor, I'm gonna stay with minor. So. Can I end the song there? Does it feel like I could end it there? No, you feel like I want more, right? I just ended on G chord. So I have to play a lot before you have a sense of, oh yeah, this is the song. This most of you will have that kind of innate sense where the home base is, because I usually start with the home base chord. And then so the feeling of being suspended, like, oh, it can't end there, right? So if I do almost, because I don't remember what I played. That will be suspended, right? Half cadence. If I go back to chord 1 minor, then you feel like, oh, yes, I can end here, right? So earlier I was just ending it on chord 5. So the other one cadence that you don't feel like you're ending is deceptive. Because why? Because most of the time we hear 5-1, 5-1, 1, but this one is 5, and then going to 1. Oh, I need to erase all marking from the previous line. Sorry, it doesn't make any sense. 5-1 meaning G to A flat major, because chord 1. Chord 6 is, I'm saying 1. The 6 is A flat, it's a major chord. And it's deceptive. So let me take the same melody, if I can remember. And you're expecting, right? But right? That would be 5-1. You can hear that it's not satisfying. You need to go on. That's called deceptive cadence. 5-6. Now, the half cadence, like I said, the chord before doesn't have to be chord 1. It could also be 2. Sometimes it's 4. So there are some stuff that might work out. So those are cadences. Why do we need to know cadences? Because when you have a song to harmonize, to put chords to, you need to know where your things are. So that's the summary of what you've just seen in terms of cadences. Cadences in classical music that end the piece would be 5-1 or 5-1 minor, 4-1 or 4 minor, 1 minor. Not ending a piece, you can have something to 5 major or a minor chord to 5 if you were in a minor key. So I'm just basically repeating that. Now, what are phrases? You need to know the concept of phrase before you start chording your melody. Usually phrases are in 4 measures or even 2 sometimes, or multiple of 4. Sometimes you can find 6, like 4 plus 2. Right? A phrase would be 6 bars. And the cadences that you just learned would be at the end of a section. What is a section? Most songs are ABA. That means there's a section called A, a section in the middle where you can be more adventurous chording, putting more maybe diminished chords in there, augmented chords, 7th chord in there, secondary dominant, which we haven't covered, but usually a piece has a format to it. So it's either A and then suddenly you move to another country and you stay there, B, and that's it in the end there. But a lot of pieces are A and B, adventurous, and then you go back home to A, a little modified A at the end. So where the cadences would be at the end of A, at the end of B, and then at the end, of course, of the song. Most likely you'll have 2 or 4 phrases in a section. Some songs are longer. So let's take an example that you know. Happy birthday. Where are my phrasing? Does anybody want to draw? I think you can draw. If you want to experiment with drawing, I'm going to draw the first phrase and you can draw the second phrase. You can look at the lyrics. It gives you a sense of where your phrase is. This is complete sentence, right? That's one phrase. I think you have the options to draw. Can somebody try and see if you could draw the second phrase for me? Choose another color. Blue. There you go. Anybody is trying right now? Let me know if you're trying. Isabel, are you trying? Keep going. Or Kimai?
I can try telling you.
Tell me. You want to draw
Okay,
it?
the second phrase would be "Happy birthday to you." Let's go to the second line. The first,
That's right.
yes,
That's right. And of
and the
course,
third one is "Happy birthday, dear Johnny." Yeah,
mm-hmm,
and the last would be "Happy birthday to you."
mm-hmm. But here's the thing. This and this, musically speaking, is one phrase. Because this is chord 4, B flat. I know we stop a lot because in the context of the song, you want the person to smile and get gifts, and everybody's pausing there and they stretch out the name, right? but it's actually this way because here's your cadence. 5-1 is here. Actually C7, so there you go. This is where you're actually using your dominant seventh, your chord 5-7, that the major chord with a 7 on top. Here's your cadence 5-1. So here you have a cadence. This song is too short. So so far you only get to one cadence. There's only one that you can call that it's a cadence. Okay. You can also consider that the last happy birthday to you is another phrase. That's fine. But then there's only one cadence in this song. This song is too short for us to do anything with it much. So let's move on to the next one. The next example I have here, I gotta get out of my annotating. Since Easter is coming up, I'm using that one. I think all the churches will be playing that one, including mine. So we are in C major in this one, right? So where are the phrases? Does anybody have their mouse on right now?
The phrase usually ends with a long note. Like in this case, it would be like the whole note here. C, right? C.
Yeah, the half note C after
Yeah, right.
Alleluia.
I'm sorry, it's a half note. No, not the whole note. Yeah, with the bar. Yeah, it's a half note. But they're usually the longest.
And then?
And then again, it ends with a hallelujah. Yeah, with the C chord.
That's right.
And here would be the C half note. Yeah, all the half notes, most likely.
Most likely, but in this case, it's because you don't see the next part. This next phrase
right. And
is actually also consistently in the next line that you end, because you could see that it's four bars per phrase, right?
Yeah.
You can count that each phrase is four bars.
Four bars.
And you can also see that this is a section, B section. So the divide will be here.
A, B, C. A, B.
Because there's a big jump. You can see in the melody, there's a big jump. It's way higher here.
Right.
So you could say this is B section.
Yeah.
And this is A section. So I'm expecting a cadence here because I'm ending a section. And in fact, you see all the chords. So you could see that the chord is, we're in C. So chord G here is 5, isn't it?
Yeah. So you go back to 1 there.
That's right.
Yeah, that's the end. Most likely.
Yeah.
So you end with A. I mean, first section.
So what did they put? In fact, they also have a cadence of the same sort here, 5-1, right?
Yeah, another C.
And then if we move forward from there, oops, I have to get out again of my annotation and then change slide and then erase the annotation from before. Oops. There we go. here. So what is this cadence? G is actually chord 5 in C major, isn't it? And D here is actually what we call secondary dominant, meaning it's the 5 of the 5. Because in C major, your D is supposed to be a D minor, right? Chord number 2 is supposed to be minor. In this case, this D major is the 5 of the 5. We call these secondary dominant, and we write them with a little slash between the Roman numerals, the 5 of the 5 going to the 5. So this, in any case, it doesn't matter what the chord in front here is. What matters is that you could see that that one ends on chord 5. So this is your half cadence. I'm playing from the previous page. But coming from, and then here you have, you feel like you couldn't end there. You have to go on to the ending. So that's an example of 2 cadences that you've seen so far. Of course, at the end you have a 5-1. But you could see here is the area where you could not end the song. It makes you suspended a little bit. So the more we see examples, the more you'll see it coming. So here, do we see now where the cadences are?
With the E.
So this is a phrase, right? This is a phrase, but it's not yet a cadence because it's just one phrase. So we have to kind of move on from from this slide to the next part. And then you'll see that, oh, 5-1. Here it is. That's your 5-1 cadence. Now, I did not put any chords here the second time around that you repeat. You come here, and then you go G, and then if you put an A minor, you will have people going, oh, what's going on? Because A minor is 6, 5, 6. But most composers, like I said, in Vietnam, I would have written the melody a little bit differently so that people cannot use C. Because when you put the C there, it sounds 5-1 again. Because you're coming from here, chord 5, and then chord 1 again. And then you feel like, And then it really cuts out the C section, the B section a lot. It's like, okay, curtain down, intermission, right? Whereas if you want the song to hold and make you feel like you have to continue to see, you don't want to end on chord 1 here. You want to end on chord 5 or chord 6. So that it pulls you towards the next B section, which is this case, B section. But then here at the bottom, you can see very clearly that we end on chord number 5. Previously, chord number 4. This is one of those cadences. Let me play it from here. we're in C major. And you know, you have to go back to section A, which is here. And then I have to go back to the previous lines, but you know it's going, right? So this song here is A, B, A. And here's your cadence that doesn't end the song. So if you want to write songs and you want people to really feel like you have to go somewhere, continue on. You want to end it on 5, just like this composer did. Okay, let's see the next example. Same thing with love story. Let me skip to the end. So at the end, you got you can't end there. You have to go back to, right? You have that feeling of being suspended in the air. It's because we're in A minor. If A minor is 1, what is 5? Here it is. So you ended this section here on 5. And that is why when you get to that point, you feel like you have to go back to section. And in fact, you have a repeat sign, DC. You have to go back. And again, what is this chord here? Because in A minor, B is supposed to be diminished, right? So this is again one of those secondary dominant cases, the 5 of the 5. The B is the dominant 5 chords above this chord, which we want to end our cadence with, called half cadence. This is a half cadence. So before the half cadence, you can also again put some alterations. This is why the melody itself is suggesting a chord for you very strongly, because it adds two more sharps, telling you that you gotta get out of those chords that previously your teachers telling you that those are the only chords you could use in this key. So this is when you have alterations written inside the melody itself, it's strongly suggesting secondary dominant. Usually the 5 notes, the chord that's 5 note above whatever chord that's next to it. So let me clear that. And have you try out this one. We're on D major with 2 sharps. So D is 1, 5 is A, 4 is here. Okay. And then you also have E minor as an option. Chord 2 is minor. Chord 3 is F sharp, also minor, is another option. Chord 6 is D, E, F, G, A, B. B minor is another option. Okay, so you have these chords. How are you going to chord this? Or first thing you say, where are my phrases? That's a long phrase. 8-bar phrase. Or you can subdivide it here to 4 bars. And then it begins again. Which is a new one. So where are my cadences? What chords should I put? Certainly at the end of maybe here, right? Should I go back to D major? Does it sound like the melody is finishing? And that's how I put my chord 1 here and chord 5. Actually, I could also put chord 4 here. It would work. So that's chord 4. That works, or that also works. So my 2 cadence that I could have chosen from 4, 1 or 5, 1 both works for this. Let's see the other section. So I have to clear all drawings and go to the next page. So here's the section. Da, 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 da. Where's the next slide? Bum, bum. And it ends here. Obviously it ends on D, so yes, I'm having D chord, which is chord 1. Right, I'm ending on D here. And then comes the B section. Oh, sorry. Okay, so does it seem like I'm done with that phrase? So here's the B section beginning, where again, there's a big jump in the melody, right? Often between sections, a lot of composers like go somewhere else completely. So you got and then suddenly you got, ooh. Didn't I say that the B section is where you can like move away from and add more alterations here, accidentals? Those 3 notes suggest a G minor chord. G minor doesn't exist in the key of D. It's supposed to be not chord 4, it's supposed to be G major. But in this case, the chord number 4 being minor in a major song is a trick that a lot of pop songs use, in fact, to add that little adventurous feel in here and sadness inside of a happy song. So here's your chord 4, and then let's continue. And again, it ends on chord 1. And the one before here would be A major, because he's insisting on holding very long. This is fermata sign, which means hold that E very, very long. And E belongs to your A major chord. So the cadence here is 5, 1, because D is 1, A is 5. So you could see from the analysis of songs that gradually you will have a hang of it, and be able to say, oh yes, this song is in the key of so and so, and therefore I have chords. So the memory song is in the case of this one is a D minor, right? Sorry, C major, and then you could see from the second page that the cadence here is 5, 1. And then you see that the B section, which has completely different time signature as well. Here's the B section, is switching between chord 3 and chord 4, which is very rare. Chord 3 and chord 4, very rarely used. And again, you could see that the adventurous chords are being used in the B section. Getting out of using just 1, 2, 1, 5. Here's the next one, and I think we'll end with this one, this example. This melody is and you can see how we end on a chord 5 here, G, and we kind of feel like we're not done. And that would be section A. And the chord here has been always G. So basically you're going from the G chord to the C chord. 5, 1. One of those popular cadence, 5, 1. And then B section starts here. And it feels very final to it, right? So there's a certain sense of peacefulness, and because expectation is that it's 5 and 1. Again, another 5, 1, another G, C. So you could see that in most simple songs, it's 5, 1, 5, 1, 5, 1 is the cadence that is used quite a lot. Here is another secondary dominant, because what is C7 again? C major. And then you see a simple 7. That means that you're using a minor 7th or 10 half steps from the bottom or 3 half steps from the top note. So the top note should be B flat. Wait a minute, I'm in C. B shouldn't be flat. Yes, B shouldn't be flat, but the fact that you're putting these chord symbols, you are asking people to actually play B flat because you want this chord to be the chord 5 of the next chord, which is this one. If F is 1, right? What is 5 above F? C.
F would be 4.
F is 4, sorry. It's a secondary dominant to the chord 4. So 5 slash and then 4. Thank you. So dominant of the next chord. F, G, A, B, C. Oh yeah. But C7 actually has a note that doesn't belong in your entire key of C. But it's permissible when you're using it as a cadential technique. So this is when secondary dominant comes into play a lot. So you've seen a lot of secondary dominant so far, right? These chords that uses notes that are not inside your scale. Same thing for this one. This is in a key of 2 sharps. It's in a key of... Anybody? 2 sharps. What key are we in?
D.
Well, this is 1. This is 5. This is 1. You see those chords are kind of weird? They're a secondary dominance. You could have just ended on A major, right? Chord 1, chord 5. You see how if you ended on A major, the simple A major, you're in chord 5, and your cadence is being like, oh, I can't end here. Oh, that feels like 5-1 to me. Yes, it is. A7. D. That's 5-1. And then here's another 5-1. Right? And then these, of course, on top here are using notes not belonging to your D major scale because they're secondary dominant again. Get out of this to move to the next slide, the next part. Oh, here's where I'm ending on chord 5, which is A. Did you hear that? This is chord 5. Half cadence. Not done. I can't end the song there. And what is this E before it? It's 5 notes above A, isn't it? E is 5 notes above A. That's my secondary dominant, the 5 of the 5. And then you use the same secondary dominant as in the first page. So again, 5-1, of course, to end the song, because that's your B section has finished, and then here's your A section again, right? Because it's the same melody as the beginning. So your B section finishes on chord 5, half cadence, not done. Do you guys know that song? Plaisir d'amour?
My husband used to play that a lot. He loved that.
Oh, yes. It's a popular song. Yeah, it is.